Hey, I'm April, and this is Bitch Bet Podcast. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back or welcome to the podcast. I hope everybody had a good month, and if it wasn't a good month, then I hope your next month is better. I first want to start off this episode by thanking my listener in Wyoming for being the first person to send me a fan text message. I really appreciate it. So I wanted to give you your moment to shine. And I was really excited when I got the text message. So if you also want to send me a text message, there is a link in the bottom of the show notes or the description, whatever you want to call it. And you just click on it and it lets you send me a text message. It's only for standard podcasting platforms, so it's not available for YouTube or Rumble. But if you listen to me on those sites, then you can just leave me a comment or follow me on any of my social media, and you can reach out to me that way. Something that I've always thought about when it comes to emotions is anger gets kind of a bad rep. Like a lot of people don't like that emotion for some reason. And we're told to suppress it and not give into it. And it's a bad thing if you're angry. And it's an emotion to be avoided. And I think that's dumb. And the reason I think it's dumb is because emotions, all of them, good or bad, they have a reason to be there. And you, if you're feeling those emotions, you have a reason to feel them. And they shouldn't be suppressed. They shouldn't be written off as like, oh, this is just some toxic behavior. Because I think a lot of people associate anger with being toxic. And sometimes, yes, it can go hand in hand, but anger is a healthy emotion to have. All of them are healthy emotions to have for the most part. But people get angry. Things piss us off, and we get irritated and frustrated, and we have reasons to be mad, and we have reasons to get angry. And there's not anything wrong with that. The only thing that can be wrong with it is how you handle it. And because there's two ways emotions can go. The emotion can control you, which is what I think happens a lot of the times with anger, is a lot of people don't know how to control their anger or how to figure out what makes their anger tick and what really triggers them to get angry. And a lot of people just don't understand how that emotion affects them. So it leads to the emotion controlling them, or you control your emotions, which when you know how to control your emotions, it makes dealing with them so much easier. Because all emotions want to do is be heard. That's it. They just want to have their moment in the spotlight and say, hey, I feel like this. This is why I feel like this. Let me feel like this. And then once you can allow yourself to feel that emotion, it kind of goes through you and you're like, okay, you can go back to whatever emotion you were feeling before I needed my moment and my space. And I think a lot of people don't know how to control their anger because they're always told that it's something bad and that they shouldn't be angry. But that's just not a realistic thing. Because if you can control your anger, then it's not going to cause you to say something that you didn't mean, but knew was going to hurt the other person. Or it's not going to have you do something that is going to make the situation worse. If you know what makes your anger tick, you can control it, and then you know how to navigate, or you have a better ability to navigate situations that make your anger come out. Because me, for example, I'm always angry. It's just the emotion that is always there. And what I mean by that is basically like anger is my baseline. And the only real way I can describe it is if you've seen the movie Inside Out, which is the movie about emotions, and it goes into different people's heads and how they deal with emotions. And the movie centers around Riley, and she's a kid. And it's about her navigating her emotions as she grows up. So in her mind, the emotion joy is trying to run the show. And then at one point, it goes into her mom's mind. And in her mom's mind, sadness is running the show. And then it goes to her dad, and anger is running the show in his head. So every person has a different emotion running the show in their own heads. And in my head, it's anger. And that doesn't mean I'm always angry, but I can be always angry. And it just means that whatever emotion I'm feeling, because you can feel multiple emotions at once, it's very exhausting, but it can happen. It's just whatever emotion I'm feeling, good or bad, there's always going to be an undertone of anger, and it's just always going to be there. It's just anger is my strongest emotion, but it's also the emotion that I've spent the most time with, and it's the emotion that I understand the most. And my anger is a very complex thing. Well, emotions in and of themselves are very complex, but just because I've spent a good 22 years with just that emotion and only really allowing myself to feel that one emotion, it allowed me the time to really sit there and think about, okay, what are the things that make me angry? Who makes me angry? What, events make me angry? Why does this make me angry? And it helps me navigate it and understand, okay, I'm not angry because of this. I'm angry because of this. And it'll allow me to either remove myself from the situation depending on who and what is making me angry, or it'll allow me to navigate the situation in a different manner depending on who's on the receiving end of it. And the reason why I'm so comfortable being angry is because for a majority of my life, that was the emotion that I only allowed myself to have. Because before I went to therapy, every other emotion, good or bad, I put in a box, and I put the box in the closet, and I didn't touch it, because anger and me being angry was what helped me get through all of the stuff that led me to go to therapy. But it was basically like, it was me in survival mode. I just needed to be angry, and that was the only way that I was going to protect myself from any other emotional bullshit that was getting thrown at me. But then, of course, once the closet door broke because of the fuckboy, I had to then learn at that age, at basically an adult, I had to then learn, okay, so you have anger down. That's great. Here's the other broad spectrum of emotions that you should have learned to handle as a child, but you didn't. And now you're going to have to learn to deal with them. So I was able to start realizing, okay, this is this type of emotion. This is this emotion. Okay, this is sadness. This is depression. This is happiness. And all these other different emotions, I had to learn how to navigate them, as well as navigating the anger undertone that is just always going to be there with me. And a funny thing ended up happening recently that I thought was hilarious and fits perfectly with this episode. I listen to YouTube music for my music when I'm driving or doing pretty much anything. And after a certain point, YouTube will give you recaps. It'll give you recaps for like the last couple of months or for the first half of the year or for the whole year. It'll just like give you random recaps on your music and what you've been listening to and, you know, stuff like that. So it'll give you like your top 5 artists in the time span, your top 5 songs that you listen to the most, and, you know, your genres and all that stuff. So I was talking to my girlfriend about it because she just got on YouTube music finally, and we were going over the different songs that I liked. And out of the 5 songs that were my top 5 songs for the last 3 months or so, 3-4 months, 4 of them were Taylor Swift. And then one of them was Eminem. And so I started laughing to myself, and I had to go to find my husband, and I had to tell him, hey, this is really funny, and here's why. And I told him what the songs were, and he goes, yeah, even when you're sad, you're pissed. And I'm like, yeah, basically, no matter what emotion I'm feeling that emotion, and I'm also mad about it. And it's not mad that I'm dealing with that emotion. It's just, I'm always mad. I'm always angry. And it's just an emotion that's going to be a part of every experience. And I'm 100% fine with that. And because I've become so comfortable with my anger and my temper and all the stuff that goes with it, I'm very good at keeping it focused. But it comes with its own limits, obviously. Like if a person pisses me off, like if a very specific person says something or does something that will trigger my anger, I can keep it focused to that person. Because let's say random person at work pisses me off, or a customer does, or whatever. I could be mad at that person, but then if my husband were to walk up, I wouldn't be taking my anger out on him because he's done nothing to warrant that emotion directed at him. He'll know I'm angry, but he'll also know that I'm not taking it out on him, and I'm not gonna use him as my own personal punching bag. I'm very good at keeping it focused. Like, this person pissed me off, and they're the ones that deserve this level of emotion from me. The limit to me keeping it focused, and where I still struggle and I still have to figure it out, is when it's like a general frustration. So like if I'm just frustrated about a situation, or I'm irritated about something, and it's not a specific person that I can just keep it targeted at, that's when my husband will feel it a little bit. And he'll tell me, he'll be like, you're getting mad at me and you're taking it out on me, and I don't appreciate it. And I'm like, I'm not trying to. And he goes, I know you're not, but I feel like you are. And I go, okay, I apologize. I'll keep it, I'll try and be better. So I do still have the moments where I'm not perfect, obviously. And I'll have my anger lash out at somebody that doesn't deserve it. But I know that that's an area that I still need to work on. And I'm getting better at it, but I also haven't really been genuinely frustrated in a while. So I can only really work on it in the moments when it happens. So it's just something that I always have to keep being mindful of, so I don't take it out on people that don't deserve it. Which is why I think anger has gotten its bad rep that it has, because a lot of people get angry about a person, place, thing, situation, whatever. They'll get angry, and then instead of dealing with it, they'll lash out at other people that don't deserve it. And that's what ends up causing the anger to have that toxic element that I think a lot of people think that it has. And don't get me wrong, A lot of toxic people are angry. And they take that anger out on people that definitely don't deserve it, which there's no excuse for it. And I think it's a coward's way to deal with your emotions, is making it other people's problem. And as an adult and as just a person, you're responsible for your own emotions and you need to regulate your own emotions. You're responsible for dealing with it. Your emotions are nobody else's problem because nobody else really cares. Yeah, the people in your life, obviously, and the people that you love and that, care for you, they will care about you and your well-being. But it's not their job to fix your emotions and to have you get a handle on your own emotions, because nobody can do that job other than you. And something that I also, it's going to sound weird, but I guess like the only thing that can really describe it as admire is a controlled anger, or like a person that is pissed off and they're mad, but they can control it very well. Because I find that way more terrifying than somebody who's exploding at me and yelling at me and trying to, take their anger out on me and all that stuff. I find a controlled anger way more terrifying than an explosive anger. But granted, I've dealt with explosive anger pretty much my entire life, especially when I was living in that house. Both of those people had very explosive tempers and explosive angers. And I have a tendency to also have an explosive anger, but I also know how to control it. So I know how to have the controlled anger element, which is very difficult and it's very hard, but it shows a lot of emotional maturity when you can be pissed and you can be in the situation that's pissing you off, and you can just keep it to yourself. I can only keep it to myself so much because everybody will always know what I'm thinking, whether my mouth says it or my face will. And it's going to be one or the other. If my face doesn't say it, my mouth will, and vice versa. So, and sometimes I think my face is the nicer of the two, but I do know I can give some gnarly, dirty looks. But also, I can say the most ruthless, savage, cold-blooded shit to somebody, and I won't feel bad. So, it has its moments, but being able to be in the situation that's pissing you off, or being around people that are pissing you off, and just being able to have that element of control, like, I'm mad, I'm pissed, but I'm either not going to ruin the occasion because of this, or I'm not going to stoop to their level, or whatever it is that you decide, and you decide that you're like just going to control your emotion, that shows growth. And at least to me, because it's very easy to pop off on somebody. It's very easy to let the emotions take over and then just deal with the consequences later, or don't. Who really knows? I mean, if you're a good person, you'll deal with the consequences. If you're not, then you genuinely won't care. But it shows progress. And it also shows that anger doesn't always have to have that toxic element or that explosive element or that full body consuming rage that some people have. And something that just kind of popped into my head, I know this is months and months later, but it fits the topic. I don't watch football. I think it's a dumb sport. I did watch it at one point in my life, but I then found hockey, and that's my sport. Anyway, the Super Bowl that happened this past year, which was against Kansas City and 49ers, I believe. And I think it was in the first half. I don't know. I want to say it was somewhere in the first half of the game, Travis Kelce on the Chiefs, he got mad, and it was this big deal on the internet the day of, and I think that whole week or something, and he was getting in his coach's face about the game, and a lot of people were giving him shit about it because he'd also just started dating Taylor Swift, and it was his big whole thing, and he was under a lot of pressure that day, and a lot of people were saying that that's such a toxic thing to do, like, he's this mad and it's a game and blah, blah, blah. Here's my take on that. People that have dealt with toxic human beings, especially that take their anger out on the people that they're with, they would never, ever let that many people see them that mad. And what I mean by that is people that are narcissistic and people that are toxic and people that are abusive, if they have the person that they're with and they take out all this rage on for no reason, let me clarify that, for no good reason, when they're in public, they're the most charming, charismatic, everybody loves them type people. It's the second they get behind closed doors and it's just them and the person that they're with, that's when the mask comes off. That's when the anger comes out, and that's when the rage comes out. If, this is a big if, because I genuinely don't think this, but if he were to be a toxic person, like people were trying to claim that he was back when this happened, if he were that type of person, he would not have let not only his team see him like that, but also with the Super Bowl being the most televised game of that sport ever all year round, with that many eyes on him, millions and millions of people watching that game, he never would have done that if he was actually a toxic person and an abusive person. He would have never let that level of emotion be seen by not just a handful of people, but millions of people. And especially with him freshly dating Taylor Swift at that time, he had even more people looking at him because of her fan base. There's no way you can tell me that he is a toxic human being based on that situation alone. Because people that are toxic and are abusive and are horrible people, they would never let that level of emotion be seen by that many people. Just my take on that. But it also shows the familiarity and comfortability with him and his coach, that he felt like he could reach that level of frustration about his job and, the situation that they were in, and this is the biggest game of the year, and he was able to show that level of emotion to his coach, and then his coach not taking it personally was great. It's a very, the only way I can really say it is it shows how anger does not have to be toxic, and is a very normal emotion and human emotion to have. And once he got that anger out, I'm guessing, I don't know because I didn't watch the game, but they ended up winning. So he obviously got the emotion out and got it out of his system and was able to focus on his game and do his job and win the whole thing. So it's easier to just let the emotion through you and have it move past you, and then you can collect yourself and focus on what you need to do, than to try and smother it and suppress it and leave it for another time, because it's only going to build and it's only going to get worse. For me personally, my anger, I've learned I can use it as a driving force. I can use it as momentum. And it's a really good way for me to kind of check in with myself and my surroundings if I'm getting mad too often about something. If I'm getting mad over the same thing or a number of things repeatedly, I can ask myself, okay, why is this making me mad? What about this can I change that way I'm not mad all the time? Because being mad is a very exhausting emotion. Being angry, being pissed, they can be very exhausting. They do take a lot out of you. So, with that being said, if I'm getting angry a bunch and something's making me mad to the point where I'm just mad and there's no other emotion and that's the main one I'm feeling, then I ask myself why. I ask myself, okay, this is making me mad. What can I do to fix it? What can I do to change it? What can I do so that way I'm not mad to this level anymore? And so it's a good way for me to figure out what either within myself I need to change, what within my surroundings I need to change. It's my way of knowing, okay, something's not right. I need to fix it. Perfect example. I had a position that I was in, and the job itself was not hard. I was very good at the job. I liked it. I liked the job. I liked what I was doing. I thoroughly enjoyed it. But the environment that I was in and the leadership that I was under, that's what made it the worst job, and I hated it. And I was getting mad, and I was getting pissed, and I was just progressively getting more and more angry about my job. And finally, I decided, okay, I'm done being pissed. I'm done being mad about this. So what am I going to do? And I decided to move from that position to a different position that was a completely different job than what I was doing. A completely different team, completely different everything. And it also gave me the drive and the push that I needed to start this podcast. Because this had been a thought in my brain for 2, possibly 3 years. And I kept talking myself out of it. I kept telling myself no. I kept just not going through with it. And it was because I was getting so mad and because I was just fed up with the environment that I was in, because I was just done with what I was doing. My anger got me to the point where I had to shift what I was doing for work, but it also then helped me shift my mindset of, okay, that job isn't fulfilling what you needed to fulfill. Go do something that will. And it really gave me the last push that I needed to start this. And I love my little podcast. I find it very enjoying. And it's weird to say because I'm probably one of the one person on the planet that gets grateful when I'm angry, which is very weird to say. Why am I crying? I get grateful for my anger, and I get grateful, and I am grateful that things make me angry. Because sometimes without my anger and without just getting so fucking sick of something and just be tired of it, it forces me to change it. Because clearly, if it's pissing me off enough that it continues to piss me off, and I get multiple situations where the same thing or the same person is pissing me off, the only one that's going to change it is going to be me. And the only one that's going to make it so I'm not mad about it is going to be me. So it gives me the kick in the ass that I need to do something about it. Whether it's change job positions, whether it's start a new project, whether it's completely moving to a different state, whether it's blocking a number that I should have blocked forever ago. Whatever the situation is, it makes me do something. It makes me act on it. And it makes me put myself first, which is weird when you think about anger because people put it in a box and they label it as something to be ashamed of or feared, which rightfully so. If you've been in positions with an angry person, I get it. But when you can control your anger and you can use it to your own advantage, you don't mind being angry. But again, I could just be the one person on the planet that thinks that. But if you don't like being angry, I get it. It's exhausting. It's not a fun thing to have. It's not a fun emotion to go through. But I challenge you to think about, does the emotion control you or do you control the emotion? And if it's the first one, then what can you do for yourself to change it to the second one? And if you end up getting to the second one where you're controlling the emotion, then you can try and figure out how you can use it to your advantage. You don't have to. You don't have to do anything. But I do think there is a sense of power to be able to say, I am in control of all of my emotions, even the bad ones, which is kind of cool. And I don't think a lot of people can say that. Holding on to your anger can be exhausting, especially if you've been doing it for years. And all emotions have to be let out. But anger is a big one that people really need to deal with it, but they need to deal with it in a healthy manner and learn what ways they can get their anger out without it being directed at a specific person or, it's a good driving force. I feel like a lot of athletes, when they get mad, they play better. One of my favorite players for my hockey team, he's very good. He's one of our best players. And I hope we can win him a cup because he deserves a Stanley Cup. But anyway, I remember he was in an interview and he had said that he likes when people get in his face because then it makes him mad, and then when he gets mad, he plays a lot better. But that he had to learn to not just only be good when he's angry, because not everybody's going to piss you off. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting and fun. And something that you can think about. So just next time you're mad, try and figure out why. Try and figure out your own triggers if you don't know it already. And if you're used to suppressing it and putting it down, try something different. Or don't. That's fine. Anything can be used to your advantage if you know how to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, you could figure it out. As always, to all the negative voices in your head, bitch bet. Thanks so much for listening. Until we talk again next time.